this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about some really big breaking news today. I suppose it had to happen sometime, but Queen Elizabeth has passed away at the age of 96 after a 70-year reign, and her son was now the king. He's issued a statement and everything, and it's my sister was talking to me about it earlier. She's like, I guess it's not every day you get to see a king come into power like that, but that's a long time. She's very beloved by her people. So besides her being a monarch, she has a family. People who care about her love her. So it's a pretty monumental death. So keep them in your prayers. But just gonna talk a little bit about that today. It's pretty huge news. Also want to talk about some things that I think politicians in this election season can learn from someone who's not a politician. Kari Lake has just really been killing it in some interviews, her demeanor, her answers, how she's aggressive with the media, but not too aggressive. And there's a lot of people who can't kind of pull the whole package together, but she definitely has, and people are kind of eyeing her and asking questions about her elevating to office beyond her being, governor if she wins. But she may have a good shot out there, man, because she's very poised, but bold. Also, AOC did an interview with GQ the other day. I want to talk a little bit about that. There's some interesting news in the pop culture front with your kids' TV shows, notably Peppa Pig. That is woke now. I don't think my nieces and nephews watch that anymore. I think they kind of grew out of it, but man, they were into it. And actually, so many American kids were watching it, and they started developing British accents. But they do have their first gay couple now on Peppa Pig after, I guess, the libs did this big petition to have some kind of couple on the show, particularly so impressionable, and that's their words, impressionable children can learn about it at that age. So we'll talk about all those things today, but before we jump into it, I would encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out content on my website, different articles, different videos, check out different merch that we have on the store, like the goat hoodies, goat t-shirts. I do have those in different colors. They're very comfortable, but check those out. Have the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For. Got the Be Better Not Bitter. The My Money My Business shirt. Get tired. People are like, it's not your business, not your concern. I'm like, does it involve my taxpayer dollars? Kind of seems like it's my business when it's my money involved. So there's that. The Constitution's a Glorious Liberty document, all kinds of goodies, and it's pumpkin spice season, so make sure you guys check out that kind of stuff on the website as well. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com. Whether it's $10, $20, $50, you can do larger, $100, whatever it is. I very much appreciate it. There's costs for the software I use, the streaming, running my website, travel, etc. If you would like to help us here and would help Black Tea expand, I appreciate it. If you can participate, if you can't or don't want to, I appreciate you watching. People who watch live, people who watch later, people who share videos, people who tag other people and tell them to watch Black Tea. I really appreciate it. Make sure to follow me across my different social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc. All my handles are at Black Tea News, Black like the color, tea like the drink, with the exception of Twitter. That one is at True Black Tea. I do have a Rumble account. I'm not streaming live on Rumble right now, but I'm gonna look into that and start doing that. There's a huge jump in Rumble because other social media platforms have not only censored people, they have worked in concert to censor particular people. In Rumble, at least as far as what we know right now, won't do that. That's kind of their firebrand. So people are going there, and it's opening a lot of folks up to content that's just by just I guess basically exclusive in a way since they've been banned in other places like Andrew Tate, for example. But I'll let you know when I start doing it from there because I think some people prefer that actually. But I'll let you know when we get there. Um, Also, want to thank Brighter Michigan Pack. I'm in their studio today. If I say something today that triggers you, they don't care. I don't care. It doesn't work like that. They just like to uplift conservative voices, and I'm glad to be here in the studio. Okay, you guys know that. Pray for me, y'all. I'm a little sick today. Um, that I like to start off with something funny, and both of these are from Right to Bear memes. And man, I don't. This first one, I don't think it's actually a joke, but conspiracy theorists, right again. And so I don't know if you guys remember with the Democrat Party convention logo and how people were saying it was like the satanic. And I thought it was pretty funny at the time. Do I think someone? I don't know what to say. I was gonna say no. I don't really think that someone did that. You never know, I guess. But I'm not gonna say the whole party's demonic or something crazy like that. But the conspiracy theories and people kept um making different comparisons with the DNC. As a matter of fact, I did a TikTok video and took a couple of clips totally out of context, of course, but it was funny about Biden and certain remarks that he made. Like, he said something about like 100 million people dying before the talk is over, and it's like, what? Like we're all about to die, and he made some kind of comment about blooded children or something. I don't know. So, anyway, people were going in their conspiracy theory world. As you can tell, I'm laughing about it. I'm not like, oh my gosh, they worshiping Satan. So I'm sure some of them are, but I'm not saying that's what the party's doing. Okay. But yeah, but this guy on the side, I've shared his picture on Facebook. He's over, I guess, helping with the response with monkeypox here, and yeah, so he's got that star strap thing on. So the conspiracies just kind of continue. So I thought it was a fun thing to point out. You guys can make your own conclusions. Um, but another thing from Right to Bear memes, AOC was on the cover of GQ, so went ahead and kind of changed her outfit a bit to, I think it was, what color was her actual outfit? Maybe it was a blue or periwinkle. I don't remember the color of the outfit. I don't think it was green, but they went ahead and obviously made her look a little more, appropriate for the kind of things that she espouses. So really quickly, since we're looking at AOC, she did an interview with GQ and she said something that quite a few things in there, but something I'm gonna point out just really quickly. She said for every woman that has gotten an abortion, there's a man who has been affected or liberated by that abortion too. In this moment, it's really only going to be the vulnerability of men and men talking to other men that gives us the greatest hope of shifting things the fastest, soonest. So that's interesting. I agree with her that abortion is a tool of weak men. You guys know that I don't have high favorable opinions of pro-choice men out there. Actually, I'm looking for my. Oh, there we go. Pro-choice men are sus. It's available on blacktnews.com. I feel that with all my soul. Um, she said remarks like this, and Kamala Harris said remarks like this, like, "Oh, think of your sons. Think of the positions that they'll be in." So what if there's no abortion? Then you can't the young woman you've been screwing. You can't just pay to get rid of the problem. You're gonna have to think kind of more proactively about the lives that you have created through your actions. So it's interesting that they use the words like liberated and so on, and I agree that's how a lot of people feel about it. And the abortion industry has really been pushed by men before the Roe v. Wade decision, which was decided by all men. FYI, groups like NARAL, that was founded by Larry Lader and Bernard Nathanson, they knew that like some of the figures that they talked about weren't real. Like they would push statistics that inflated by a lot the public support of abortion, and they knew the figures were wrong. They didn't care. They inflated the numbers of women who died in illegal abortions. They didn't care, and they didn't care, and they didn't care that the media didn't care, and they weren't going to correct it because, in the words of Bernard Nathanson, they believed that their narrative was more important, and they also believed that they needed the feminists on their side as well. So they needed to convince them that this was a good, and they wanted black people to get on board to convince them that this was a good, as they basically got rid of limitations on abortion. So it is really something that's been pushed by men. And it sounds like AOC is aware of that, or believes that it's important for men to get on board, because she does believe that they can continue to push the needle as they have done before. And there's a lot of pro-life. There's obviously a lot of women who are pro-choice, but there's obviously a lot of women who are pro-life, like myself. I think it's pretty much half and half. Um, so they think that that male influence is going to be the thing that pushes women forward. I've been reading a lot of studies for my book, and I can't, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I was reading a study about different mental health in regards to abortion, and there's so many women who will come to have some kind of regrets or feelings and stuff about it later, and they'll report if they had had support from their partners, or if they didn't feel that they were pressured, then they probably wouldn't have made that decision. So a lot of my body, my choice, and women going to that clinic, their choices could have been different if they had more support, especially from men. So I don't think she's wrong that if men decide that, hey, this is what we really, really want, that they could really, really try to push it and make a difference. But obviously, I think that would be a bad thing. It would obviously be a bad thing. Um, Live Action put out, or maybe it was LifeSite News, put out a figure today talking about abortion and how it's mostly elective. Let me just find the figure really quick. I got into a little bit of a Twitter spat with someone earlier. And so they said 96% of all abortions are just done for birth control. 0.3% is rape and incest. 1.3 is fetal abnormality. 2.5 is physical health. Zero point 0.2 is a life/major bodily function, I guess, problem. And 95.7% is elective and unspecified reasons. So um that's pretty high. I think a lot of people obviously argue about like that 0.3%. That's what people say hear a lot. And so this one person said, don't round it up. The 4.3 is all I need to be pro-choice. Doesn't mean I don't disagree with the 95.7. And this is a guy, pro-choice guy. And so a Life Site News was just like, so you're pro-life? Because if you believe, because he's claiming he doesn't, you know, it's the assumption here is, oh, so you don't like when people use it as birth control. So why at that point, why can't people just say, well, we should be pro-life with these exceptions and fight for that? Yes, we'll be arguing with pro-life people about what those exceptions are, but why not come from that front, rather than saying we should have like blanket free reign with abortion? That doesn't make sense to me. So lifenews.com was like, so you're pro-life? And he said, no. I said the 4.3% is all I need to see to be pro-choice. Therefore, I'm pro-choice. Doesn't mean I can't disagree with a woman's choice to abort the baby just because she doesn't want to. And I'm like, so you support the women who have abortions, so they can have one night stands, which women have argued with me about that. Like, oh, you might need abortion because you had a one night stand. And with all the scenarios you could say, I'm like, that's the thing they went for. It was a little more honest than I guess most people. but women have argued that that's why they need abortion for such reasons. And I said, and women despite their boyfriends, which I'm aware of women who have done that as well. And they said, nope, you really got to read my tweet. Which, if you're pro-choice, you may not like the choices, but you are supporting their choices to do that. So, for whatever reason, you are putting your stamp on. You are putting your stamp on that. Um, as opposed to just saying, hey, we shouldn't have abortion, we should just, but we could have some exceptions here for that 4 point whatever percent. And so he's like, nope, you really got to read my tweet. LOL. Just say you're in favor of girls being raped and forced to give birth to their rapist baby. So it just goes into that such an extreme place. And I know girls will say that too, but I feel like men are will jump on that so quick to just to accuse someone of something like that. First of all, they're human beings with dignity. Like would you really refer to someone like Kathy Barnett, who ran against Dr. Oz in the primary, and say, "Hey, you're just a rapist baby," and belittle them to that? Like that's their identity, just a rapist baby. It's pretty gross, but um also you're saying that that rapists, because they'll have due process, they're not going to be likely executed for what happened to them. Their rights will be taken away, but that if they're convicted, but they'll go to prison for maybe not even life, right? Maybe a couple years. So that person, as a society, we're saying the rapist should get more rights than the child. Like abortion is about a violation, a human rights violation. So I don't believe that we should discriminate against people about crimes they didn't commit. And I believe the unborn should be protected from violence. And I believe that you shouldn't be able to take away someone's rights unless they have some kind of due process. But we don't do that for the unborn. But we'll do that for the rapist. So are we the kind of society that believes that that rapist deserves more rights and dignity than the innocent unborn child? The guy who like wrote who writes like textbooks on abortions will say that rape is not a cure to, I mean, abortion isn't a cure to rape. There's all kinds of different traumas that you deal with that. And anyway, does it what does it really matter? Because he still believes in women having one night stands, being able to have an abortion. But that's where they go. And if dudes like that want to push the issue in that direction, that those are the kind of dudes that AOC is I guess depending on. So really, really gross stuff from her and some of her Democrat colleagues. But they feel that abortion is liberating for men, and I suppose it has been, but it hasn't been a good thing for our society, not in the least bit. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. So the Queen has passed away today. Well, not the we you guys know what I'm talking about. She's not my queen, but pretty iconic. Queen Elizabeth II, very long reign, 96 years old. Um, Her son released a statement: "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all the members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of the cherished sovereign and the much loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms, and the Commonwealth, and by the countless people around the world. During the period of mourning and change, my family and I will be comforted and sustained by our knowledge and the respect of deep affection which the Queen was so widely held." So it's a pretty big moment in history. Very long reign. She lived a long time. Obviously couldn't live forever, but I mean, she was trying. She was trying. There's a I know quite a few people up at that age who've passed away recently, so it's just kind of hitting different. I was at a funeral on Saturday, which is also my sister's birthday, but um, of another woman who died in who's 96 years old. She was the um, mother of a good friend of good some good friends of ours, who's a pastor of the River, Marlon Reed, and his brother was is Carl Reed. He was in the group commission, Christian group commission, but their mother passed away, and she was a great, woman of God who raised a lot of children. The room was just full of kids and grandkids. And they were just looking around like, here's their legacy. And as they were talking about her and how she ran our house and how she loved the Lord and led it with discipline. And it made me a little sad because I'm like, we're losing a pretty valuable generation of people who are just brought up differently. And if things don't kind of radically change, I think we're gonna be in a bad spot. Um, as far as who we're left with, I think. Um, yeah, my grandmother passed away at 102, at 102, not too long ago. So we're losing a lot of great matriarchs. I want to play this video for like her first televised Christmas. Um, I think they covered this on the TV show The Crown, which is pretty good. My sister Tina can do like a really good impression of her. It's when she goes, "Happy Christmas."
I very much hope that this I very much hope that this new medium will make my I should
Hold on, I'm not sure why it's paused. Let me play it a different way. Excuse me, give me 1 second. I'm not sure why I was pausing, so I'm uploading it a different way.
I very much hope that this new medium will make my Christmas message more personal and direct. It's inevitable that I should seem a rather remote figure to many of you, a successor to the kings and queens of history, someone whose face may be familiar in newspapers and films, but who never really touches your personal lives. But now, at least for a few minutes, I welcome you to the peace of my own home. That it's possible for some of you to see me today is just another example of the speed at which things are changing all around us. Because of these changes, I'm not surprised that many people feel lost and unable to decide what to hold on to and what to discard, how to take advantage of the new life without losing the best of the old. But it's not the new inventions which are the difficulty. The trouble is caused by unthinking people who carelessly throw away ageless ideals as if they were old and outworn machinery. They would have religion thrown aside, morality in personal and public life made meaningless, honesty counted as foolishness, and self-interest set up in place of self-restraint. At this critical moment in our history, we will certainly lose the trust and respect of the world if we just abandon those fundamental principles which guided the men and women who built the greatness of this country and Commonwealth. Today, we need a special kind of courage, not the kind needed in battle, but a kind which makes us stand up for everything that we know is right, everything that is true and honest. We need the kind of courage that can withstand the subtle corruption of the cynics.
Yeah, so that's a pretty powerful speech and something that I think is needed today. That we're such a different world. Even that was so monumental when she started doing her dresses on TV. Because I mean, think about way back in the day when people had no idea what really their royalty might have like looked like. Maybe they see the painting or something, but wouldn't really know. No, but she got to. I mean, obviously the papers and other stuff, but they got to connect with her in a different way that they haven't really with other people in the past. So that was so monumental, but she made the point that technology might evolve, but that the problem isn't technology, it's people using losing their morals and their values and casting them away as if they're outdated and old fashioned and meaningless. So um we know that social media and other platforms and stuff can pretty much be a danger because a lot of people just really want to be jerks without any sort of restraint on them. But they can still have good use if people still decided, made a conscious decision to still be good moral people, whether they're talking to you face to face and or engaging with you online. But man, there's people, you have the White House um censoring people that they don't like, and going working with companies to censor people that they don't like. So we're definitely losing more of our connection. So I hope people um at least remember that speech, and or a little bit of it, the key portion, that you can't just throw away our values and our you know, as far as religion and other things that help to form who we are, and make her country, her nation great, our country, our nation great. Um, Even though that's really what a lot of people want to do. So God save the Queen. Pray for their families. I wonder how some of that drama with her grandson's gonna play out a bit. I heard Meghan Markle stayed behind and went home alone. He went home alone. That's I was just gonna mention really quickly. I'm just like, how could y'all say alleged stuff about how they doing stuff, and you know your grandmother is old and kind of sickly, and uh, like they were just unnecessary drama, man. But God save the Queen. Okay, I want to play these two videos from Kari Lake that are pretty impressive. One of these they posted on Facebook and Twitter. And there's another one that popped up the other day. So one of these is a question about election integrity, and another one she was questioned about whether she was going to be the vice president of the United States. I guess on Trump's running ticket, I guess is what the press is thinking. So here's the first one about election integrity.
Sorry, you said you feel like Joe Biden is dividing the country, but do you feel like Donald Trump is doing the same by falsely telling people that he won that election when he lost it?
How does that divide the country? Questioning an election where there are obviously problems is dividing the country? Since when can we not ask questions about our elections? As a journalist for many years, I was a journalist after 2016, and I distinctly remember many people just like you asking a lot of questions about the 2016 election results. And nobody tried to shut you up. Nobody tried to tell Hillary Clinton to shut up. Nobody tried to tell Kamala Harris when she was questioning the legitimacy of these electronic voting machines to stop. We have freedom of speech in this country, and you of all people should appreciate that. You're supposedly a journalist. You should appreciate that. So I don't see how asking questions about an election where there are many problems is dividing a country. What I do see dividing a country is shutting people down, censoring people, canceling people, trying to destroy people's lives when they do ask questions. Last I heard, we still have the Constitution. It's hanging by a thread, thanks to some of the work some people in this area have done. But we're going to save that Constitution, and we're going to bring back freedom of speech. And maybe someday you'll thank us for that.
Kari, what?
So that was pretty remarkable how she handled that. The whole question of the election, people, I've talked about how people have a diverse opinion on if the election was stolen, how it was stolen, to what regard. Like, there's people who believe like Dominion software actually changed stuff, and there's people who are like, no, but states did obviously do things that weren't passed by their legislative body, and there were sort of edicts, and there were things that were done irresponsibly, and the Supreme Courts and states found they did stuff wrong. Or there's people who believe that people moved ballots, you know, that they weren't supposed to move. That doesn't necessarily mean that those ballots were fraudulent, fake ballots, but maybe they illegally moved them, or other things like that, you know. Or they talk about interference from like uh, Facebook and Twitter with censoring Hunter Biden laptop stories and other stuff like that. There's various opinions on it. It's been very tumultuous, I guess you could say, among Republicans, especially like in primary season, because if you didn't like acknowledge in some parts of like different states, if you didn't acknowledge some kind of election interference, then it was like the base was going to turn on you. And people knew it was like a way to separate people in the primary. And I don't know if that was, I didn't like how kind of unfair that was. Just because you may not see things the way that someone else sees doesn't mean that you're not willing to put in voter ID laws and address people's issues and concerns. But Kari, they're coming for her because of different stuff that maybe she said or stuff that Trump has said, and like, hey, Trump's dividing the country because they've said X, Y, and Z. Isn't that divisive? And she's like, we're asking questions about an election where there's obviously problems. Her election, by the way, took a day or two before they announced that she like won her primary, or they were done counting. I'm like, what is up with Arizona? Like, I called my cousin. I'm like, why y'all still counting? I'm like, why y'all still counting stuff? Why is it taking so long? So you can ask questions. There, even Democrats that I know are just like, nah, some weird stuff happened. Like, even if like you don't believe that stuff was like done illegally or something like that, people are like, we shouldn't have elections like this. This shouldn't be like how a first world country operates. So she's saying, hey, people are asking questions. That's not a threat to democracy. And then she had the receipts, and she starts talking about Kamala Harris questioning machines and different journalists who question whether Trump won the 2016 election. And we're not that old. We can remember. Unless you're like my nephew was born in like 2015 or the kids that came after. Maybe you don't know the history of people saying like, hey, he was a Russian agent and the Russians are the reason why he's in office, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Like we remember, or go back to 2000 and Bush and Gore and them questioning, like Bush won and then they challenged it and the Democrats won it. Like, we want to recount in these really blue areas. And it went to like the Supreme Court and they're like, no, he's the president. And people like still were saying that Bush was like illegitimate. Democrats aren't happy when they lose elections. And in 2018, Stacey Abrams, she was going around saying that she actually won, and people were like believing that, still uplifting this woman when she was obviously wrong. And now they're like, oh, this is a threat to democracy. So she put them in their place. But the thing that I love the most, at the end, when she's like, we're going to bring back free speech, and one day you might thank us for it. So to me, it was just kind of like our disagreements and how you see things and how I see things. That's one thing. We can debate those. We can talk about those things. But the most important thing is that we're able to discuss these things. And even though we're at odds and you're doing your job as a journalist and I'm doing my job as a candidate, we don't see eye to eye. At the end of the day, it's still more important that this is upheld for the sake of you and the sake of me. So she was just really fabulous with that answer. If anyone has trouble with that answer, they should listen. You don't totally rip off Kari Lake, but just pay attention to her answer, how she handles the press, and also her demeanor. She's bold and she's confident, but she's not like totally punch you in the face. Now, when Trump was like punch you in the face, not everybody can be Trump. Not everybody can be Trump. And a lot of people who try, you're not quite there. And sometimes people are like, Trump is too mean. A lot of times I'm like, Trump is pretty funny. But not everybody can do his shtick. But to me, she just came off so well. Her tone is so good. So here's Kari Lake again.
Did I get everybody?
Hey, one more question. Would it have you to be VP? Is that something you would consider?
No, I hate. First of all, I don't like Washington D.C. Especially don't like it now. It's funny though that question is asked because for so long, many of you in the media have been trying to act like I don't have the skill to run for governor. Now apparently, I'm so skilled that you think I should be VP. So. I take it as a compliment. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking.
Have you talked to Donald Trump about it?
I talk to President Trump all the time, and I have not talked to him about that now. I am applying for the job of Arizona governor, and I'm reaching out to the people every single day. Where is Katie Hobbs right now? She should be standing right here answering your questions. How often does she talk to you? If you're MSNBC, maybe all the time. But if you want to ask her a pressing question, she cowers and she's a coward. I'm applying for a job, and the people of Arizona are the hiring manager, and they are my boss. And I am going to be here, much to the chagrin of some of you, not just 4 years as your governor. I'm going to be here 8 years as your governor. So have fun and get used to it, because we are going places and we're going to have the greatest state in the country. Thank you very much.
Her tone is just so good. It's like, it's boss, but not like girl boss. Like, I'm a woman. It's just like very matter of factly, but not in a Karen sort of way, not in a naggy mom kind of way, just like a normal sort of I'm in charge mom kind of cool way. I don't know. It's just her demeanor, her tone is so good, and it's calm. Like, it's not very punchy in the face. It's a bit adversarial, but not too much. It's just really, really good. It's really, really good. Now, I don't know what will happen if they get a little too with her, but her tone is so good. And starting off saying, I hate DC. That's like cheese, man, to the base. Man, when my sister was running for chair of the MI GOP party and stuff, she worked in DC at the RNC and stuff, but when she would talk about how fake everybody is in DC, people like resonated with that, because one, they know it's true, but they don't like DC. But people go to DC and they become part of the DC machine. They become part of the DC monster. So the fact that she's just like flat out like, I don't like them, and people are like, we appreciate that you don't like that's not like an obvious sort of goal or aspiration, that people don't see her trying to use this race as some kind of stepping stone to get somewhere else, to achieve some kind of fame. And that could be like not true at all, but it appears that way right now, that she has her eye on the ball as far as Arizona and continuing to make it a great state. And she also, when she's confronted, they ask her a question. When I first started running for politics, one of the first things that like the county chair of the Oakland County did, he gave me a book about the media, and he's like, you need to read this book and understand how the media operates and how they work. And you have an agenda when you're interviewed, and they have an agenda when you're being interviewed, and your views and your opinions about why you're both on that show are not going to intersect quite, especially if it's like a Democrat or Republican, with the press and the Republicans. They're not like, unless you're going on Fox and being part of like Sean Hannity's like 3-person yes team, if you go on local news or CNN or something, you're probably going to get some kind of pushback. They have an agenda of things that they want you to say. They want to make good television too. And you're trying to promote yourself, get your message out to the voters. And whatever reason they ask you to come on might not be why you're there. So you need to, whatever question they have, you have to find a way to sort of redirect the energy. So when they asked about the election, she redirected it like, it's not what they said, it's a threat to democracy. And she's like, no, you're saying asking questions is a problem. That's incorrect. With this and the which with this particular interview, she's like, why aren't you asking these questions about my opponent? Why aren't you, like, she's not here. She'll go on to MSNBC or somewhere like that, but she's not with the people. I'm here with the people. I'm here. I'm accessible to you guys, even though they're obviously not like in love with Kari Lake, though she's very like photogenic and everything, she's been in media for a while, but she's not their cup of tea, but she's there to take the slings and the arrows because it's just part of the risk of getting the job, and she's willing to be there on the ground. Now her opponent won't debate her, and so she's making the statement there that not only will her opponent not debate her opponent won't be with the people, and her opponent are afraid of the press. So she's just doing a good job being very subtle, I think. Subtle, but still with the force of a hammer, but so subtle still with getting her message out. And she's just she's really good at this. She's really, really good at this. And I wish there were other people who are as good as Kari Lake running for office all over the place. If she could spread some of her magic on Herschel Walker and some other folks, that would be great. But I think if Kari goes ahead and she wins this governorship and she's there for the 8 years like she plans to be, she could really be going some places now. She claims she doesn't want to end up in DC, and maybe she won't, maybe she will. 8 years is a long time, and right now we got a short time to November. Maybe she'll win or maybe she won't, but I think she's got a future if she does. So just take notes if you're running for something. She's having a lot of slay queen moments. Having a lot of slay queen moments. Lastly, today I want to address this Peppa Pig story. Um, do you guys know who Peppa Pig is? Peppa Pig is this huge show that kids all over the world, I guess, watch. Now, I look at this and I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? It's a huge show. It's very popular, Peppa Pig. As a matter of fact, in my local mall, there is a Peppa Pig like exhibit place to go to. Like you pay and there are games and other things. And it doesn't look fun to me, obviously. Even if I was just thinking back to me being a child, it wouldn't be a thing that I'd want to do or something that I would love. But I'm just like, look, I don't get it. The animation, I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, how can my now, I don't think my nephews and my nieces watch Peppa Pig really much anymore. They were really into it. But I'm like, how can they look at this and be like, oh, Peppa Pig? And I showed them Dexter's Laboratory one day, like maybe it was like 2, 3 weeks ago. And granted, we started like from episode 1. And they're just like, is this old? And yeah, it was old. And it's amazing they can tell that. And they look at now, obviously, this is not doesn't look old, but I'm like, Dexter's animation and stuff is still more. You can appreciate that more than whatever the heck this is. But people love Peppa Pig all over, and there was even like stories that American kids were starting to develop British accents. You know, it's a really big phenomenon. I've bought them Peppa Pig toys or whatever. Again, I don't think they're too into it anymore. Danny really likes Spider-Man. The girls are still into Frozen. They really like Miraculous. That's their thing. The ladybug chick. Um, they were watching PJ Masks a while, but I don't think I haven't really seen them talk about it too much. But people have petitioned that Peppa Pig puts gay people on Peppa Pig's kids TV show, and I guess the petition won out because they have now got some gay polar bears on the show. A lesbian couple there. So, Penny Polar Bear is very excited to share about her parents. For the first time in its nearly 2-decade-long run, Peppa Pig has included a same-sex couple. The moment comes during the episode entitled Families, which aired on Britain's Channel 5 on September 6th. The short scene happens when Peppa's classmate, Penny Polar Bear, discusses her family during the school day. I'm Penny Polar Bear, she says, and draws a photo of her two mothers in dresses. I live with my mommy and my other mommy. One mommy is a doctor and one mommy cooks spaghetti. I love spaghetti. The inclusive storyline has been a long time coming. In 2019, a petition called for the show to feature same-sex couples so children, listen to this, so children at an impressionable age can be educated on them. Now, I understand people who want to have diversity and so on. But does it not seem a little creepy when they're like particularly pointing out that they're at an impressionable age? Therefore, we need this in a kids' cartoon because there's things that they want to impress upon. That's like, oh yeah, we gotta get them now so we can mold the minds. So, okay, just kind of, we're just letting your indoctrination plan there come to pass, okay? Excluding same sex families will teach children that only families with either a single parent or two parents of different sexes are normal, the petition noted at the time. This means that children of same sex parents may feel alienated by Peppa Pig and that other children may be more likely to bully them simply through ignorance. I don't mean no disrespect. And I know there's people across the spectrum who are believe in different things. I know there's people who are gay who follow me, people who I follow who are gay who are just brilliant and I adore. So I don't mean any disrespect when I say this, but it is kind of normal when there are two parents of opposite sex because it's just a natural way that kids are made. I'm not saying that I don't understand the inclusion thing, but to say um they don't want it to be what normalized, it it's normal though. It's natural. I It's kind of weird. Peppa Pig is not just for entertainment, petitioners added. Children are inevitably learning from it too. Peppa Pig isn't the first animated series to recently include same sex couples. Arthur featured a gay wedding in 2019. Yeah, I remember that. When the cake loving teacher, Mr. Ratburn, got married to his long-term time partner. Arthur is over now. I think they canceled it. The episode titled Mr. Ratburn and the special someone shows Arthur and his friends trying to figure out who the teacher is engaged to. The mystery is solved when the students see him walking down the aisle with his future husband, with Francine ultimately noticing that the event signals a brand new world. And on the Rugrats, also Paramount, the new version that they have, Phil and Lil's mom is a lesbian, and so if you remember in the original version, there was Howard, their father, and now he's not a thing, and she's like a single lesbian mom dating. And some of the castmates were like, "Oh, well, we knew." I'm like, What do you mean you knew, or could see this coming? She was married to a man. Just because she was a little, she liked athletic style stuff and was kind of more masculine, and he was kind of more of a feminine spectrum, I guess, kind of more agreeable than she was, and she was more aggressive. Doesn't mean that he's should be like written out the show. and she's It doesn't mean she's a lesbian. Like I know women who are kind of more like that who are straight, and so now you're choosing not to represent them to make her lesbian. You're getting rid of the kid's dad. You're making someone who a different kind of family that was different than everyone else because their kind of feminine masculine roles are a little bit shifted, but you're not representing them anymore. You're and then you're making her single. Now, Chucky's dad was the one who was a single parent and had the issues with because his mother passed away, when he was well, he's a baby, but when he was smaller. And so he was the one who had to kind of have the I'm a single person out here, and I don't know how far along in that Paramount series is right now because he did eventually remarry in the Rugrats 2 film, and but it was just so unnecessary, and there are people so excited about it and stuff, and I'm just like, but you're still taking away like they're the kid's father, like you're breaking up a home and making her a single mother. And I read one article and was like, Howard who? I'm like, Howard who? That's their father. Your agenda isn't more important than the kids having a father in the home, but that's what they want to push today so hard. Well, I'm sure the petitioners who wanted to, you know, impress upon the children are happy. But if that's something that, you know, you're not cool with impressing on your kids, FYI, I guess. FYI. That's what's going on. I didn't realize that Peppa Pig had been on for that long, but it is a pretty huge show. Again, there's at my mall, there's a Peppa Pig like play place. Um, that's what's going on. because it is that really like a thing? People watching Peppa Pig and kids and little tiny kids, and this is like a tiny kid show. Like you're not gonna be like 9 watching Peppa Pig, being like, "This is my jam." Maybe you do. I I I'll only judge you a little bit, not terribly. But if you're tiny pigs watching tiny people watching Peppa Pig, are you really like looking like, oh, no one has two mommies like me, and you're terribly upset? And then other kids have watched Peppa Pig and be like, Peppa Pig has taught me to bully the people who don't have the people who have two mommies. Like people are projecting so much into their kids, and they didn't petition that stuff to make their children feel better and to create a better world. They're doing that for themselves. That's what it's really about. But that our world is woke. Our world is so woke right now. But God bless other people who are making other kind of content that is not woke. But unfortunately, I guess we got to deal with this a little bit longer. Or don't show it to kids. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. Well, that is the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please go to blacktnews.com. Check out different content that I have on my website, different articles, videos, etc. Make sure that you're liking across all sorts of different platforms. I know quite a bit of people have liked like my Facebook page. They did change it around some time ago that you have to follow. That's how they kind of do things now. So even if you liked it before, make sure that you're actually following the page, and make sure you're following across different social media platforms on YouTube and etc. That really does help. If you like what I do here and you like to donate, please go to blacktnews.com/donate and leave a gift on the website. I appreciate it. The cost for travel to run the site, stream, this different software, everything that I use. There's just a lot that goes into it. And if you would like to support Godspeed, I really appreciate it. But you can also check out different merchandise that we have, like Rogue and Casey aborted, Life Wins. We got the pumpkin spice. It is pumpkin spice season. We got the Club XX lifetime membership. I made these like some time ago when we had the trucker stuff. Apparently, people from Canada might need this again because Trudeau is doing some crazy stuff out there, talking about possibilities of enforcing different vaccine stuff, and it's just like, bro, it's over. You had your time, but you know what? They know that they could take power before they know that they can take it again. That's what happens when there's when there's some kind of emergency, and you're willing to give up your freedom. They will manufacture an emergency in order to take more freedom, or they will stretch the truth about how much something was an emergency. That's just how they are. But God bless you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.